do you have like a coach or a mentor that you go to?
I mean, you got definitely, coaches or even just, kind of people over the years or, like my dad, one of my favorite things he told me as a kid growing up was like, hey, don't brag or anything. He's like, and he told me if you're good, you can tell people, but if you're great, they'll tell you.
We're live, Cuzzo. Hit him with the intro.
We are back. Welcome back to the Electives Podcast. This will be episode 12.
Losing track. Starting to lose track.
I know. But
Don't
that's
put
a
a
good
number
thing, right?
on
That
it.
means we're putting out a lot of content.
Yeah, don't put a number on it.
That's a
We'll
good
just say
thing. That's a
next
good thing.
episode.
All right, but we're back here at the Aurora Country Club. We're here with our friend Bryce Emery. We want to thank him and everybody here at the Aurora Country Club for allowing us to shoot here. But yeah, man. So let's get into it.
Yeah, definitely, man. Thanks for having us at the country club.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So Bryce here is our first pro athlete.
Loosely.
Pro golfer. So tell us a little bit about that, man.
I mean, I've been playing golf, my whole life pretty much. Grew up out here. I've been here my whole life, really, actually. Terrorizing the staff as a young kid, and I'm surprised they keep letting me back. But
yeah, what's your earliest memory playing here?
I played a father-son tournament with my dad, I think, when I was 2 or 3.
Oh,
like
that's pretty cool.
2 or 3.
Yeah,
you were like my height back then.
just about, maybe almost.
I think he was a little taller. He was a little taller.
Maybe a little taller.
I got there
taller.
like 4 or 5.
Right.
But one hole. I got the pictures somewhere. Typical 90s swag outfit.
Yeah.
That's the earliest, and then just spending every day in the summer over here.
Cool.
It was a blast.
So you've been playing golf for a long time then.
Yeah.
2 or 3?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll
And
be
so
32 this year, this month. So
Thir-
you think I
30-year
got to
grind?
figure it out at some point, right?
Yeah.
Playing this long.
I mean that's a long time.
That
So
is.
what was practice like?
As a kid, it was probably more just like, begging my parents, hey, drop me off, because I grew up down the streets. Like, so they would drop me off, and I would just keep myself entertained for most of the day, until they came back and picked me up at 4 or 5, or sun going down, or maybe someone on the staff called and said, hey,
Time to pick up this kid.
he's
gotta turn off the
he's
lights.
asking us too many questions inside the pro shop. He's got to go. But I mean, now it's, it kind of, now I know, what I need to work on, what I'm trying to improve. So
Right.
it's just kind of, whatever I'm trying to, each day kind of has a goal, right? It's like I'm gonna work on this for a couple hours. I like playing more than I like practicing, because I can sit there, hit the practice shot same way all day. So it's like I got to get out on the course. That's where where it's played. So
Right.
So are you practicing like when you get out on the course instead of just working on your swing? Are you kind of practicing like almost like a scrimmage game?
yeah,
Like
kind of.
basketball would, scrimmaging against yourself.
Yeah, like when I'm home, I'm not out playing events or on a stretch where I'm traveling a lot. If I'm back here, I'll be, I might know, hey, this course coming up next week. I got to hit, this club a lot, or this kind of shot. So I'll come out here and play. I'll just try and I'll hit that shot as much as I can just to get comfortable with it.
Right.
Or hey, the green's gonna be really fast, so you got to work on putting, and so just kind of, you're always trying to prove something.
Right.
So,
Just sharpening each little tool. Well, at what age did you know you wanted to go pro? Or was it kind of?
I think pretty early on.
Yeah.
Probably out of being more naive about what it actually is.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh
yeah.
I'm gonna be a pro golfer.
Yeah.
10, 11 years old.
Right.
Telling my dad or my parents, and they're like, yeah, hey, sure.
Right.
Do what you want to do.
Right.
And
They're just supporting a young man's dream.
yeah, they're
at
like,
that
they're
point.
not gonna tell their kid no.
Right,
Like, hey, you want to do
right.
that? Go for it.
Yeah.
My dad. I remember when I turned pro after college, talking to my dad about it, he told me, he's like, hey, you work every day of the rest of your life. it doesn't matter if you take a couple years or something and try this out. And
True.
now it's been 10 years as a pro, but yeah, pretty early on, I think I knew I wanted to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Just had no idea what was actually
What it all was going to entail.
and how hard it was going to be.
Yeah.
But it's
Oh,
been
yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Got to travel
That's
a
pretty
lot.
cool, man.
Yeah, I think that's the thing with going pro when we're all kids is we think it's just
Easy.
it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
easy. Like you turn pro, man. It's like no, man. You got to put in work every day
Oh, yeah.
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 I mean,
so that you don't fall off and then now you're back with everybody else.
Right.
yeah, I mean, it's just, a lot of, discipline and, and golf's a weird one too, where it's like you don't have to go to Alabama, for football. It's like you don't
Right.
you didn't have to go to the big time school to do it. Like if you can go out and play well enough, you can get out there. I mean, that's what it's a great game. Like I know guys that were Division I All-Americans that, gave up, and I know guys that were, played at small Division III schools that are
Mhm.
out there kicking ass too. So it's just this great game where you get better each year and go out and shoot a number, you're in.
Nice.
So what would you say is the difference between somebody who makes it past high school to go to college and then someone who makes it past college to turn pro?
I'd say, with the way the game of golf has evolved the last probably 10 years, it's, distance has become a big thing where, everyone's hitting it far. They're actually, USGA announced a couple weeks ago they want to try to roll things back, which I think is a mistake. But so I think just like every other sport, I think a lot of it is speed. Is the big set. Basketball, the difference between D3, D2, D1 besides size is speed. You got to be football. It's all the sports I think still come down to speed. In golf, it's how fast can you swing the club and how far can you hit it, and still hitting it straight or somewhat straight. And then so it's like I play with my dad and he'll be like, why am I not hitting it far enough? And I'm like, I don't know. How much time do we have?
Right, right. How much time do we have? What about from a mentality perspective?
Well, you gotta, your number one supporter and believer's got to be yourself. You have to have that. Like, hey, sometimes it's fake it till you make it. Almost like, hey, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
And no matter what people say, like, oh, you're not good enough. It's like I don't care. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
And so you have to have that self-confidence, and especially golf is a very, because it's just you.
Right.
So it's like, you got to be cocky, a little, and have that self-belief. To
Gotta
like,
have that
Oh, yeah.
swag.
yeah, it's like,
and so like
no
you gotta
one's
tap
beating
into your
me.
ego a little bit, Yeah. No, it makes sense, man. Now, who's your favorite golfer?
I was a big, I was big Tiger guy. He's
Gotcha.
always been my guy. I grew up, him winning his first Masters in '97.
Mm-hmm.
This is Masters week too, best time of the year.
Mhm.
But that I remember as a kid watching that with my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And I was old enough to remember it, and
Right.
like too young to kind of realize like the significance,
The magnitude of it, yeah.
like how it just dominating, and and then truly that was the beginning of the new era of the golf
Right.
athlete. He
Right.
made golf athletic, working
Right.
out.
Right.
Before it was kind of get out, and not that many people were working out.
Right.
Get out, roll out of the car, hit a couple balls, and go play. Now, I'll be at tournaments and guys are working out hour and a half in the morning, sweating their face
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this game has changed.
Yeah. It's evolved. Yeah.
But I think it needed to.
True.
People
True.
always looked at golfers as drive around in a cart, drinking lemonade, and
Right.
a couple
Right.
beers or something. and,
Right.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
but-
Out of shape. You
Yeah,
know,
oh, yeah,
just
def-
come up, take a
yeah,
couple swings.
Anybody can do this. I go out to swing a club at a ball that's not
Right.
moving.
Right,
It's
right,
not
right,
that,
right,
can't be
right.
that hard.
Right. Right.
But
What advice would you give like to a young person that, let's say, wanted to go down this route, right, of becoming a professional golfer? What would you tell them that they should work on when they're younger?
man, I think like you can go back to like Tiger. I mean, his dad kind of, he grew up playing the golf kind of backwards. Started around the green and work your way back to the tee. So, that's how he developed his, he's one of the best putters and one of the best short game of all time.
Now, is it normally taught the other way?
Yeah, I mean, most people think, oh, I got to hit the driver. But it's like, you got to get the ball in the hole. You can hit it, 300 yards to the left, another 100 yards back to the right, but you got to make that putt on the green. And so I would say, get the better touch you kind of develop around the greens.
Right.
The better. And then, like I said, just kind of, developing that self-belief, like I'm going to.
The mindset,
I'm going to do this.
The mentality, yeah. And it's kind of like the same thing with like basketball too. Like you start off doing layups. You don't start off jacking Steph Curry threes from half court.
Yeah, from the logo.
I mean,
even though that's what it is now.
Yeah. By the way, did you guys see that game yesterday? LSU and Iowa?
I was watching, saw a little bit of it actually here.
Okay.
We played and we were watching like the first half here, and I mean, you gotta, like, I saw the one tweet about Caitlin Clark. I think the last time, it's like if you're playing her on Sunday, you gotta start guarding her Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
She's the truth.
She is.
She's the truth.
She is. You talk about a pure hooper, man. She's got it, man. She's got it.
Yeah. It was, and I know LSU kind of ran away with it at the end, but
yeah, they just had one too many weapons. One too many weapons.
I think they said that was. I saw something today on Twitter about it. It was like had like a 43% bigger audience than the NBA All-Star game this year.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, the NBA All-Star game is whack now, man. It's just it's not the same what it used to be.
No.
I miss them rocking their own jerseys.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And like actually playing, like it was like a real game.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now it's just
all show
shooting
and
half
antics.
court shots.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's load management for 'em, right? You got that.
True. Yeah.
Speaking of that, because you and I talk about that, because my daughter hoops, and I was just telling him. Yeah, I told him, I don't know if it was like a week ago or a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
But my daughter's going to end her complete season from November to June, and she's going to have played like 70 games. All right, so this is the first year that, I really kind of analyzed her season and like started to try to reevaluate stuff because of load management. They're saying that load management is coming from these kids playing at a young age 80-plus games.
Right.
I mean, my daughter's 11, and she's going to play almost as many games, if not more than LeBron or Anthony Davis did this year.
Definitely more than Anthony Davis.
Definitely more than Anthony Davis. Sorry, Anthony Davis. But
yeah. This isn't. It's all jokes. It's all jokes. You know?
But what do you think about that? Because you hoop too. You used to hoop back in the day, and you play golf. So I don't know if it's the same as golf, like load management. I don't know if it beats up on your knees or beats up on a kid's hips. But what do you think about that?
Yeah, I grew up. We're all same age. It's like as a kid, you grew up playing every sport. I played baseball and golf in the summer, basketball in the winter.
Right.
Played a little soccer on the travel team a little bit in like 5th and 6th grade. Then I realized pretty quickly that that's not my sport.
Don't got fast enough feet.
It was not. That was the first sport. I'm like, yeah, you know what?
Bryce was like, "Where's my golf cart at? I'll meet you down there."
I go, this is a lot of running.
Yep.
I'm like, hey.
Did you try goalie?
I wanted to.
Yeah.
Like we had a good goalie on the team, so they weren't. I'm like, well, I can't take his spot.
Yeah.
But I did everything. It's like now, you see these reports where guys are like, where they're talking about, if I just put this kid in this sport, this is what he wants to play. He's just gonna do this. He's like, well, you actually like hurt their development as an athlete. Like you got to learn coordination playing all these sports.
True. Yeah.
And I think each of those sports kind of helped me develop, and it helped me learn too. I'm like, oh yeah, golf is for me, and that was always a sport I knew as a kid. And basketball was the one that I played the longest next to golf through into high school. And I loved playing basketball, and it was a nice break in the wintertime because then can't live up here, you can't play golf in the winter. But by the time basketball season ended, I was itching to get back on the golf course. And I haven't touched the basketball in probably 5 years. I guess I used to love playing. It was great exercise.
Mhm.
But then I kind of got to a point I'm like, I jumped the wrong way or something and shred an ACL or.
Yeah,
I'm
that'll
like,
do
what,
it.
What am I doing here?
That'll
Yeah,
do it.
the risk isn't worth the.
So do you think it's too much for kids at an early age to be playing this much? Golf or whatever the sport may be? Or do you like kind of like the transition from multi-sport youth athletes to one sport dominant?
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, if it was kind of, 80 games or competitions spread out over a couple of sports through over the year, I think it'd be all right. I mean, how old's your daughter?
Mine's 11.
11?
Yeah, but there's third graders playing like boys, more
Yeah.
boys,
Oh yeah.
because girls don't really start till they're later because
Yeah.
there's not enough teams. But boys are starting like at third grade, playing all year round.
Yeah,
Man,
and they're traveling too.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, I feel bad for the parents. That we got to travel 80 games.
I think they love that.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
They
I
do.
think
Some of
the
the parents
parents should
love
do
it.
some
Yeah.
load management for themselves.
Yeah.
That's a lot of travel. to
No,
do.
it is. It is. It is.
But I mean, the 80 games might be a lot throughout. I mean, if it's spread out from January through December, but and like if you throw 80 games like a 4-month or 5-month stretch for kids, it might be tough. But then they're also young. They can
True,
bounce.
their bodies can handle
Yeah,
more
they're
of that.
running.
Yeah.
bit.
That's
Kids
true.
are playing 2 games a day, and then they're going running around in the backyard with their friends afterwards.
Yeah.
You're
Right,
like,
yeah.
that's
that's
true.
true.
And like something I told him, like when he brought that to my attention, I said, you just want to make sure that she still loves the
Yeah.
game more than anything, right? Because even if you're tired or you're exhausted, if you love the game, you'll always come back to it.
True.
You know. And was there ever like a moment where you fell out of love with golf, maybe?
yeah, I wouldn't say fall out of love. I mean, I got kind of burnt out.
Yeah.
I think probably like 2016.
Mm.
I remember I was working a lot at the golf course, and I was trying to play a lot, and it just was, I'd be at the course 6-7 hours a day, then try and go home and practice afterwards. I'm like, man, I don't want to.
Right.
And then I remember that summer I played a tournament, and my dad was caddying for me, and I think I hit it in the water in the last hole, and I thought, I go, that's it. I've seen the last shot I've hit in the tournament. Done.
Wow.
Dang.
And I took a couple of weeks off after that, and just kind of. I was kind of talked to some people about maybe getting a job too. I was like, hey, you've always said if I could come work for you,
Right.
to get, and after probably a couple of weeks or a month, you bottom out a little bit.
Yeah.
And then you kind of like,
Reset.
nah, I don't want to give this up.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Couple
you
weeks.
know, and it just then I gotta kind of you pull yourself out of that funk and you get back to it. But
Yeah.
I agree with that. Yeah, my daughter just took 2 weeks off. I made her take
Yeah.
2 weeks after
Yeah.
her last school season game, and then she played yesterday and she was a little rusty, and I was messing with her about it, and she's like, "Well, I missed my old schedule. I wanted basketball on Monday. I wanted a game on this day."
See what you created?
Yeah, so I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh man!"
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the break
You know.
break made it even worse. But
Yeah.
she needed it though, because
True,
she
true.
just did nothing. Like I told her to
Yeah.
do nothing.
Yeah.
Don't
Just
even
be a
look at
kid.
the basketball.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
be a kid.
I think there's a lot of benefit to that too. I mean, that's what I get back from. Like I was just in Florida for 6 weeks playing, and came home from that at the beginning of March, and I'm like, luckily the weather was still bad here. I'm like, I kind of have to sit down and do nothing, and get my money's worth out of my rent. What if I'm not there? I just want to sit on my couch. And,
Yeah.
my friends would be like, hey, let's go do this. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
I want to just sit here. I've been on, living out of hotels and.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Living, yep.
But I mean, I think, I remember as a kid, my dad, kind of bringing me to the course.
Mhm.
Well, hey, we're going to the club. I'm like,
Mhm.
all right, fine, And then I remember there was kind of the switch. I'm like, hey, who's, which one of you guys is dropping me off at the course?
Right. Right.
You know,
Right.
I think, like you said, like make sure they're still enjoying it. Because you can only, the more, especially with kids, the more you try and force them and tell them to do something,
Yeah.
they're doing the opposite.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
And so I think if you just let them, give them some guidance and kind of let them fall in love with the game on their own.
Mm-hmm.
Like I get parents sometimes ask me like, hey, my kid's getting into golf. I'm like, let them go hit drivers at the range or something. Just, fall in love with hitting the ball and, you know,
Right.
first. And then, okay,
Right.
now we can kind of start to, okay, now go work on this.
Right.
Just let them
Right.
get out there, hit it, and chase it.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know,
No. Yeah.
and-
Yeah, I agree
Let
with
them
that.
fall in love with it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because I coach kids, and some of their parents ask, like, you know, what program should they go to?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, it all depends, you know, because you got to pay for it, but the kids need to put in the work at home.
True.
Yeah.
You know, if they ain't dribbling the ball at home and they're
True.
only doing it 2 days a week,
True.
you're not going to get as much as you think you're going to get
Yeah.
for your money.
Yeah, because there's a kid at home who's just dribbling.
Yeah, there's
who's
a
not
kid-
even going to
Nope.
camps or anything. And then when he shows up on game day, he's balling.
He's balling
He or
because
she
he's
is
just
Yeah.
balling,
watching
you know?
TV and
Yeah.
like we used to. I don't know if you used to do it, but I used to do it. You watch TV, you watch the game as halftime, and you go
Uh-huh.
to like
Work
your
on
little
your
door
moves.
hoop.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
go practice the moves. You know,
Yeah.
that's what I would. That was like our training
Yeah.
back then.
No, it was.
And that's how. I mean, like I said, I always did that with golf, and like I said, basketball is probably the last sport that I still kind of did that with. But yeah, I could tell in high school, you know, even though I played varsity and started, and it's like you knew, okay, well, you know, this guy is taking, you know, he's going somewhere. He puts in the work. I played basketball when golf season ended in October, and you know, through March or whatever the first game of regionals was, because we didn't make it too far past that. But in a weird way, basketball always came pretty easy to me. Like, you know, I wouldn't touch a basketball,
Yeah.
you know, and was a decent shooter. And it came like, I'm like, man, if I got to practice at this, but I didn't have the speed. You know, it goes back to what I said. I didn't,
Yeah.
Mhm.
you know, I remember in college asking somebody, I was like, you know, hey, I went to NIU. I was like, can I play on this team? He's like, what position would you play? I'm like, I'm 6'5", I can shoot, you know, maybe like a 2 or a 3. He's like, can you guard a 2 or a 3?
Yeah, that's the
I was
that's
like,
the question. Can you
I
play
was
D?
like, yeah, you know, probably, you know, might score 15. I'm gonna give up 40. You know,
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
give
Your
up
plus
what?
minus is
no,
horrible.
yeah, you know, so
Oh, that's funny.
Hey man, but that you got to know your strengths, right? You got to know your strengths.
Yeah.
You got to know your weaknesses.
yeah, like I said,
So-
I figured out soccer was a weakness pretty early on, and you know, by the time I got to senior year of high school basketball, I'm like, yeah, this is the end.
This
for
is
me
it.
here.
Yeah.
But it was fun. I loved playing it. you
Yeah.
know.
So Malcolm likes to talk a lot about balance,
Mhm.
and you're kind of like the perfect guy to ask about this because you're a pro athlete, and that's very demanding.
Mhm.
You know, because you got to practice. It's all on you. It's not like you got me and Malcolm to help you or something if you're short on a putt or something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So how do you balance being a pro athlete, friends, family, and maybe any other hobbies or something you want to do? How do you balance that?
I mean, it's tough, you know, especially, you know, golf is definitely kind of, you know, all year round at this level. I mean, I've missed, you know, family members' weddings over the years. And I got one of my, you know, best friends growing up, their wedding's coming up here in a couple of weeks, and a big group of us were out this past weekend asking, you know, hey, you gonna make it? I'm gonna know in a couple of weeks. I was like, that's like right around the time I got to go up to Canada for, you know, 3-4 weeks, and I'm like, that might be when I'm leaving. And so, you know, you feel bad, but you know, it's gotta, you know, I just know it's like, hey, this is what I'm trying to do.
Right.
It's not personal. I'm not like going like, hey, well, your wedding's this day, I'm out, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Catching a flight.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
that's the day I'm actually flying out. No, but it's just, you know, I've always tried to keep them separate. You know, when I'm on the golf course, it's business time. I'm working. You know, stay focused on what I'm trying to do, and then as soon as I put the clubs back in the car and I'm getting ready to pull out, you know, I'm done.
Shut it off.
You know,
yeah.
and I, you know, go out to, you know, dinner with friends or, you know, whatever it is. Stop by my parents. You know, it's like, you know, let's talk about something else. You
Mhm.
know.
Do your friends and your family, do they want to talk golf with you, or no? Do they understand that, like, you know, when you're not on the golf course, that you just want to be Bryce? Like, you want to be.
Yeah. I mean, definitely my parents probably, you know, because I got to tell them, hey, yeah, I got to go here. You know.
Right. Right.
Sometimes they're like, you know, what happened last week in that event? And it's like, well, I didn't play well.
Right.
But my friends, you know, they're, you know, it's always nice I know that they're interested. You know,
Right.
they're talking to me. They want to know, like, hey, what do you got coming up? And, you know,
Right.
that you need that support.
For sure.
But, you know, I always felt like golf is such kind of a serious sport It's the only sport I've ever played where, like, I've missed, game-winning free throws in high school basketball, or but like I have a bad round of golf. Sometimes you leave it makes you question who you are as a person,
Yeah,
and it's a game.
Yeah.
It's like you leave. You play bad on the golf course. You leave home. You leave the course. You're like, who am I?
Right.
But that's where you need the friends and family to kind of keep you humble,
grounded.
keep you grounded.
Yeah, for sure.
My buddies, if they ask me what's going on, I'll tell them.
Right.
But a lot of times I don't get to see them much. I'm more interested. What do you got going on? What's going on with you?
Right.
How's your work going?
Right.
So just trying to catch up with them, and like I said, stay grounded.
Right.
So much of my life in this game is so serious. So when I'm off the course, I try to, I've told friends, like, you come see me at a tournament, it's a different person.
True. Oh, true. And you kind of have to have that, because like that's something that, like, we talk about balance, or we talk about like ego, or we talk about like having that shadow side, and Jordan had it, Kobe had it, Tiger has it.
Oh yeah.
Right. And I think like that kind of gets, some people don't understand it, right? Like they don't understand how to flip that switch, or they don't even know if they have a switch, but when you're in a competitive space like that, you're playing with some of the best golfers in the world. You have to have that edge. You have to have that piece of you that you can tap into.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, you want to walk, you want to walk onto the course that day and go, hey, there's no one here that can beat me.
Exactly.
Whether it's,
Tiger Woods.
It's like, if I walk on the course with Tiger, it's like, even I know he's Tiger.
Right.
It's like, I know what the result might be at the end of this round, most likely.
Yeah.
But it's still like, okay, it's still me. I've put in the work. I got to believe in myself, because I know he believes in himself.
Right, right.
He's looking at me going, he's got no chance.
Right.
It's like, I got to,
Hey, but he's still got two arms and two legs, just like you.
If you just think that for a second, you're done. And that's any sport.
True.
If you think basketball, you think, oh, this person can't guard me, or I can't guard this person.
Right.
That's why like I said, I couldn't guard anybody.
Couldn't guard a chair.
Oh, God. I couldn't guard a shadow.
Man.
But I mean, it's golf. I think too it's tough, to kind of have that, like, the Mamba mentality.
Yep.
It's like golf is a weird sport where you can't, you could put in all the effort, and all the stuff you can, and get a bad bounce, or putt doesn't drop in the hole.
Right.
Basketball, or some of those other sports, like, okay, I can just outwork this guy today. I might not have my best stuff, but I'll just work harder and still kind of get him.
Right.
Golf can be a little tricky that way, because you still want to be mentally tough like that.
Right.
But like, you got to have a clear mind to still make the right decision. You can't try and, as soon as you start trying to force stuff in golf,
it's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I'm going to hit it through these trees and onto the green. Now you hit a tree and it's going 50 yards behind you.
Right.
And you're like, well, now I'm really screwed. Could have just hit it out here and been fine. So it's like,
right.
You got to find that balance of, like, okay, how hard can I try to force something, but still make the right decision?
All right, cool. Back from the break.
Cool.
Back from the break.
So my next question for you was going to be, how important is paying attention to the elements when you're playing, like the wind, I would imagine temperature, right? Maybe it might affect the way that.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's
play.
huge. I mean, first thing I'm doing on the morning of a tournament when I get to the course is pulling up the weather app, or I got a couple different ones. I'm checking wind direction, wind speed, and I'll write down I know my tee time. If I'm teeing off at like 8:30, I'm gonna write down what is the wind from 8:30 to 9:30, because sometimes it'll change speed or even a little direction. So I know by the time I get to this hole, the wind might be this direction, or it might be blowing harder, it might be getting calmer.
Right. Right.
So that's first thing I'm doing. Because that'll help me. And I even really know that during the week, like, hey, I know Friday the wind's going to change direction. It's going to come out of this way, so this course is going to play differently. That's why in the practice round before an event, I'm writing down, I might hit this club, might hit this club if the wind's this way. And then the temperature, it's cold out like it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
Ball doesn't go quite as far, so
Mhm.
you know that from just playing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
When it gets hotter, ball goes a little farther.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Then you could play out in some of like Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Altitude, ball goes
Mhm.
a lot farther.
True. Yeah.
If you're down in Florida at like sea level, ball doesn't go quite as far.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not at Colorado. It can go a lot farther, but sea level would be a couple yards. But those guys, PGA Tour and stuff. I mean, a couple yards. Is the difference between winning, finishing
Mhm.
second,
Mm-hmm.
or finishing second and missing the cut and not making any money that week.
Right. Right. Do you have like a pregame routine that you always have to kind of go through?
Yeah.
Outside of everything you just mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, I got back. I've started getting back into working out. I had some back problems the last year or so, probably from a lack of working out. But so now in the morning, I wake up, a couple hours from my tea time, whatever, and I'm gonna go down to the gym in the hotel
Mhm.
and do some sort of a warm up, a dynamic warm up, where I'm just trying to get the muscles going.
Yeah,
Get
get
a,
the
maybe
body
a little.
loose.
Not you're not in there bench pressing 300 or something.
Right. Yeah.
Just something to get the blood flowing, wake you up a little bit, get some sweat going, and then I'll shower, get changed, breakfast. And I like to be at the course in about hour 15 before I tee off, and then I start on the putting green first, trying to get the speed of the greens that day
Mm.
for 10 minutes or so. Then you go to the range, warm up, kind of see what kind of shots I'm hitting that day.
Mhm.
Maybe if I know I'm hitting everything in the direction I'm looking, maybe you're not. Try to just try to find something to get you through that day.
Right.
Then you go back to the chipping green,
Mhm.
a couple chips, back to the putting green, couple putt. When I come back right before I tee off, I like to hit the short putt, so I see the ball going to the hole.
Right.
You want to hear
right.
that sound.
Yep.
And then you walk over the tee and and let it go. And
How many years do you think you have left, or what's the plan, like 5 to 10 years out?
hopefully, 5 to 10 years be playing the PGA Tour, and maybe I don't want to say 10 years. It'd be great if 10 years. If I had a great 10-year run on the PGA Tour, I could look at 42, being like, you guys have fun. I've got my nest egg.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
I mean, golf's a sport you can play for life. Then you got
Sure.
you got the senior tour with guys that's 50 and above.
Oh, dang, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Senior NBA needs to do that. Senior NBA.
No, I don't think we want to
Nah,
watch
a
that,
lot
man.
of
You
lot of
wouldn't-
liability in that insurance.
Yeah,
for those
I
guys.
don't think you want to watch
Breaking
that.
hips. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might literally break an ankle. But it's like it's a tough. Thinking like, okay, how many years do I have left, or how long do I want to keep trying? It's like I try not to think of it that way. I just try to look at it, at the end of each year, like, did I get better? Am I getting closer to the ultimate goal? And I've felt like that. The last few years, especially, I've had a couple, the best years of my career, and so it's like, okay, well, I'm too close now to walk away. It's like I gotta keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't think you would be able to forgive yourself if you stop now.
No.
You'd look back later on down the road like, man, why didn't I just plow
Yeah.
through it? And that's something we've discussed before too. Is like, it's kind of how you're headed in the right direction when you can feel that you're like there's a little bit of adversity.
Mhm.
You just kind of got to push through that ceiling. But that's something every athlete deals with. I mean, I think that's something even entrepreneurs deal with.
Yep. Yep.
And it's just something that comes with life.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a tough decision. Anything when you're trying to achieve a goal,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, how close are you really?
Right.
Or, it's like I've been pretty close to walking away.
Right.
And I've been, and I told some of my friends, I'm like, hey, I've been real close to giving it up and saying, hey, thanks for everything. And I've been
Mhm.
close to, changing my life and
Right.
really getting to the next level. It's like,
Right.
it's razor thin.
Right. Because
And-
it's swings, right?
Yeah,
like you're talking 3 to 5 swings.
Well, it could be
If that.
one shot
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
It's like I could go back, last year and say, okay, if I took one one shot off of each round. That's 4 shots over a tournament. Like, what happens with those 4? Could change your life.
Yeah.
And that's the crazy thing with golf too, is 1 week can change your life. There's guys out on the PGA Tour this year that made it through like the Open qualifier they have on Mondays.
Mm-hmm.
Played great all week, finish 4th place, make 400,000 or 500,000 in 1 week.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, well, I might keep trying for a little while.
Oh,
if that's,
yeah.
if
No,
that's how,
you'll do it.
One day
do it,
and then
man.
4
You
days.
will.
I mean,
You will.
it's
Our next one will be wherever Bryce is at. We might be in.
Yeah, well, we're
Yeah.
gonna fly in.
I don't know
As
whatever
long as it's
golf
not
course.
Newark.
We're gonna,
yeah.
yeah,
As
just
long
not
as-
Newark, man.
Not
'cause-
Newark.
Well, anywhere south, anywhere that's got palm trees. That's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
that's
if you're
the goal.
playing overseas too, man,
Yeah.
we'll
just
show
fly
up.
us out.
We'll show
We'll,
up.
you
Yeah, I
know,
mean, I
we'll
gotta
show up.
go
We'll be
to.
there.
Like I said, I gotta go to Canada. I gotta go out to Vancouver, which I'm excited about. Out western Canada.
Nice.
Here it's beautiful out there, so and that's what's been fun. It's like the last year I've really gotten to travel a little bit. I would like to look into going overseas and trying to do
Mhm.
some of the tournaments over there.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Panama last year,
Mm-hmm.
which was kind of really my first time like truly out of the country. Like I've been to Canada before, like Mexico on a cruise, but it's like you're with the it's not really
Right.
you're at the designated spot on the cruise where so but Panama was fun. Saw the Panama Canal, which I think was
Mind blowing.
it was like it was for like kind of almost how simple I thought
Right.
it really was. Like I thought it was gonna be this huge complicated thing, which it kind
Right.
of is, but I mean it's pretty small, and you got these huge ships that come through. It's like you could reach out and touch it,
Right.
and they're just they lower one side, the ship goes up, goes out,
Yeah.
then the other ship comes in the next lane, they come down. I mean, like my dad and I sat there for like 2 hours just watching these
Just
ships
amazed,
just
yeah.
coming through, and I'm
Yeah.
like, it's one of the I think one of the 7 like modern wonders.
Yeah.
Of,
Yeah.
Um,
And that's
But-
pretty cool too, man. Like, that golf has been able to give you these experiences, and then you've been able to travel, and you get to still play and do something that you love in the process of
Mhm.
it, right? Because
Yeah,
not
man.
a lot of people get that,
No.
No.
Yeah.
when it comes to their job or their career. Like, they're not, I don't want to say stuck where they're at, but like, you get to go globally. In a
Yeah,
sense.
and that's like on the days where it gets tough, where you have a bad stretch of golf. It's like you got to remind yourself, okay, hey, I'm in a place I've never been.
Yep.
And it's still you just got to enjoy it.
Right.
That's what I think. When I first turned pro, I cared so much about playing well and trying to kind of prove to myself and maybe others around me that were kind of probably like, why are you turning pro?
Right. Right.
And so it's like I want to prove like, hey, I'm playing well, I'm making some money.
Yeah.
I want to, it's worth it.
Right.
It's like now as I've kind of gotten older, I'm kind of had the same like, if I play bad and if we're in a cool city or something, it's like still got to get out. Like it doesn't matter what happened. Let's go explore the city a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not the end all be all because you had a
No.
bad round. Like I
Yep.
said, golf is a sport where it's the only sport I ever played where it makes you question who you are as a
Right.
person.
Right.
It's
Right.
like,
Right.
You're walking through the streets of Miami, Florida, looking like Eeyore.
Yeah.
After a
Like, I
horrible,
wonder if this guy
after a
knows that
horrible
I just I played bad today, and this there's some person out there that couldn't care less.
Yep.
Yeah.
No,
And so yeah, definitely that's why I'm looking forward to going up to Canada. I think some of the events you can get kind of near Banff, and I've always
Dope.
wanted to see that.
Dope,
I've always
dope.
seen pictures of it online. I'm like I want to
Yeah.
see that in person, so it
Yeah.
looks fake.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so try to soak it all in because like I said,
Sure.
I mean life is short. A playing career could be short. You never know what could be an injury or something like that. You never know. So it's like you don't want to look
Right.
back and go, wow, why didn't I take advantage of that when I was
Yep.
there?
No, yeah, man. It makes sense.
So that's how I felt. So the older I get,
Yeah.
I'm like, you gotta enjoy this.
For sure.
So I got a question for you for like because we've noticed we got on TikTok we got like some younger athletes,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mhm.
But I kind of know the answer to this question at least by talking to you right now. So your road from when you started golf to now being a pro, you've obviously missed a lot. You
Mhm.
talked about your friend's wedding,
Yeah.
stuff like that. For the young athletes coming up, has it been worth it? To miss all that stuff, to get where you're at? And like, does it bother you from time to time, maybe when you're on the plane or you're just sitting? I mean, I imagine you kind of spend a lot of time by yourself sometimes. Yeah. Does it hit you at those moments? And then if it does, I guess there's a bunch of questions in, but can you just like touch on that a little bit?
You know, it's definitely, it's kind of like, you know, two-part answer. It's like, half of me is like, yeah, absolutely. I'd do it all, you know.
Right, do it all
I'll
over
do
again.
it all over again.
Yeah.
You know, I had to stand in a couple of my buddies' weddings 2 years ago, and they're like, hey, you better not miss this for golf. I'm like, I don't think I won't. You know, if it's a big tournament, so I got to go.
Yeah.
You know?
Sure.
I love you. I'm not
Right.
doing it to spite you, but
Right.
it's like, this is what and I've made these sacrifices for years. It's like,
Right.
you know, like I said, I'm too close to walk away from it.
Right.
You know, I was like, I've made all these sacrifices. I might as well
Yeah.
make it,
Yeah.
make it all worth it. But, you know, you definitely, you know, I'm human. So like, you feel bad. Like, I want to be there as, you know, whether it's, you know, family,
Right.
you know, my boys that I grew up with or something. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, I love them. I want to, you know, I feel bad for not being there. You know, cause I've always liked seeing my friends do well and want to be there for their big moments.
For sure.
Right.
For sure.
But is that the cost of getting to where you're at? Because could you have gone back and been like, oh, I can miss this tournament, or I can miss that one too, or is that the price you have to pay? Is you have to kind of be, you know, like, hey, if I gotta go, if I got this tournament, if I gotta practice, I'm sorry, but I gotta miss it.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you want to, you know, you want to get to that level, I think it is the price.
Yeah.
And then I think how you can, you know, reconcile that within yourself is going to kind of be a determining factor of,
Right.
you know, if you can, like at one of my friends' weddings, the one I was standing in, one of them, I flew home. I had a 7 a.m. flight Sunday morning after the wedding to come back. You know, like I was back here at Aurora on the range by the time some of my buddies were waking up after the wedding. Because I was leaving the next week for a big, potentially career-changing tournament.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, I got to do it. I'm going to come up here 2 days, do what I got to do for you, and then it's back. You know, and that I ended up I made it through that tournament, and so now it's worth it.
Right.
You know, and you know, like I said, I'd do it all over again.
Yeah.
You know, I love them, but
hey,
you know,
you got to sacrifice.
You got to sacrifice, man.
And golf is like one of those sports where, almost similar like boxing too, you don't have a team.
No.
Right? Like, it's just you. So
Right.
the pressure is different, right? In a team sport, you could take a game off, right? And maybe rely on your teammate because your teammate gets hot or whatever the case is, right? And you can do other things in the game to kind of alleviate some of the pressure, right? But like in the sport that you're in, man, you have to remain dialed in, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, like you have, you know, even boxing, it's like you have that team around you, but once you get in there,
It's just you.
They're not taking that punch for you.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, you're gushing blood, and they're not like, hey, hit me this time.
Right.
And so it's like I got my kind of, you know, you hear the golfers, especially on the PGA Tour, you know, all my team, we had a great game plan for the week. It's like they're talking about like their coaches, nutritionist, strength coach, you know, agent, you know, so you got a team, but like you said, it's like once you get on that first tee, it's you.
Yep.
And, you know, so it's like, you know, talk about pressure. I think one thing I've kind of learned as I've gotten older is like, it's not, you know, it's pressure, but it's not like real pressure. You know?
Right.
It's like there's
somebody
I could be doing a lot worse.
True.
I'm out doing something I love.
True.
You know, healthy. You know,
True.
There's people, you know, really struggling to do some stuff.
That's true.
So it's like, that's another, you go, okay, kind of remind yourself. Like I got pressure. It's like self-inflicted.
Right.
It's like I put in the time.
Right.
I put in the work. I want to do well. I demand of myself that I do well. But at the end of the day, it's, you know, it's still a game.
Yep.
And I think I think when I've kind of realized that the last couple of years, that's kind of helped me, you know, get better in its own way. 'Cause it's like, okay, you realize that this is not the end all be all.
True.
How you play doesn't define who you are.
True.
I still, like I said, I expect myself to play well because I've put in the time and the work.
Right.
So you want to get rewarded for it. But, Kobe didn't score 82 every game. There's games, that, so it's like, there's going to be days where you're just off.
True.
It's not
Yeah,
your
true.
day.
Yeah,
And
true.
How do you bounce back from those?
I think, that's, kind of the common theme. It's like that's that self-belief. Like, okay, hey, I know bad rounds are going to happen, bad shots are going to happen. I'm going to have bad stretch of holes. But you just know, okay, hey, they're out of the way. So now, the law of averages, like I got,
Yeah.
I'll have turns where, I've missed a couple short putts in a row. I'm like, well, I know over the course of 100 of those, I'm going to make 98 of them. So
Right.
I've missed them, so now here comes the 98. And it's just like, you got to believe that.
Right.
Whether or not, like, inside you might be going like, I'm going to say this,
Right.
but I'm freaking out inside. I might not make that one. But it's
Right.
like now I just, your time is coming.
When you had your best game that you can think of, did it feel like you were in that flow state?
Yeah, I mean, like anytime, you have, if I have like a really good round or something,
Mhm.
it's like you think about it afterwards. Like, what was I doing? It's like, what was I doing differently? You're like, man, I can't really remember anything.
Right.
It's
You
like
were
you just weren't even
present. You were
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like an out of body experience.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know why, every putt fell in that day, or like every shot I hit was going right at the flag. It's
Mhm.
like, well, what was I doing something in my swing? It's like I can't remember anything.
Right. Right. It was
It's like
just
you almost
all
black
instinct.
out.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
like,
Do you record any of your I don't want to call it a game, but that's like basketball. You record.
Yeah, no, that's
I mean,
I keep
like-
saying
I keep saying
yeah.
games.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
but do you record any of like your tournaments or whatever? Your tournament play?
I mean, I got
It's like-
and throughout the even during the round, I'm recording stats.
But not like when you talk about like that out of body experience. Like if you would have recorded that
like with a camera.
tournament, yeah. Like would you?
Yeah,
Would
I mean,
you
I
been
would-
like, oh, that's what I did. You know,
Right.
like that's
Yeah.
what I figured out.
I haven't played too many tournaments where there, at least maybe there was a camera crew there that was recording anyway. That would be nice to be like, hey, can I get that footage and kind of watch
Yeah.
that back?
Yeah.
True.
We're still working towards that, but I know the one like I want to get. I've been thinking about getting one of those like Whoop bands.
Mm.
You see like
Okay.
a lot of golfers are wearing those,
Mhm.
and that like measures. You can see like spike in your heart rate, and
Mm.
like okay, what then I can kind of go back. Hey, this jumped.
Yeah.
And this and that was because of this shot, or this hole kind of scared me. And like obviously now you can start to see the data going.
Yeah.
Okay, well, and then you can analyze that data and go, hey, well, what can I do differently? There was one of the I remember one of the PGA Tour players years ago, maybe 4, 5, 6 years ago. He had some. This is probably almost extreme, but he had like this device that would measure his brain power or something. And it's like when he was but he would watch movies.
Oh. Wow.
And the movie would shut off if his heart rate or something got too high. So
Huh.
he had to he was trying to train himself to keep his so watch
Yeah.
like a scary movie
Yeah.
and keep
Oh,
your heart
man.
rate.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like,
That's next level, right?
Yeah,
there.
that is next
I mean, I wish I
level.
had the cash to go out and get that device, but I'm like, that's might be, I can't. I might confuse myself too
Yeah,
if I,
yeah. Yeah.
Dang. Wow.
I can't, if I give myself too much, the wheel starts spinning too quick, and
Oh, man.
bad things might happen. I don't
No,
know.
true. I got a good question, man. So like when you show up for a tournament, right?
Mhm.
And you see your competition, are there mind games that players play on each other to try and get in each other's heads?
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, you can, you definitely see people that are, walking around chest out.
Yeah.
you know.
Peacocking.
Yeah, like and that's, like I said, it's that self-belief. Like,
Right,
They're looking
right.
like, you guys got no chance today.
Right,
I'm the
right.
best player here.
Right.
And it doesn't matter if they go out and prove it that day or not. It's like
Right.
that's just that belief.
Now, have you played better when someone's kind of talked trash or?
Yeah, I mean, there's times, if somebody kind of, does something, kind of piss you off. It's like, okay, like you want, you're gonna catch the horns here. now.
Right.
That I think that's like from growing up playing basketball.
Mhm.
It's like someone, talks trash to you or something,
Mhm.
and golf doesn't really. I wish golf maybe had a little more of that. Something like you
Mhm.
could get these guys mic'd up and they're out there chirping like hockey or basketball. I think it'd be
Yeah.
pretty funny. But
Yeah.
It would.
it's golf is too much of a gentleman's sport.
Right,
So
right,
they
right.
say, And
Well, when Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers were on the
Right.
the course, man, they were going at it. That was hilarious.
yeah, I mean,
And
so,
Charles
yeah,
Barkley.
that's entertaining
Yeah.
for the
It
people,
is.
you know, so,
It is.
Yeah, I mean, I've never really had, especially in a tournament, there's still that level of respect where it's like, hey, we all know how hard this game is.
True.
Yeah.
True.
And I haven't had somebody at least that I can remember in a tournament that's like, you know, you suck or something. Like, okay, well now I'll show you.
Right.
Something you have it, you know, maybe playing more with buddies sometimes. They're like,
Right.
you know, they're thinking they're all right. You know, they're good. It's like, okay, I got to remind you that you still got
Yeah.
a ways to go.
Yep. Yeah.
But no, I mean, you know, like I said, that's from growing up playing those other sports. You kind of
Yeah.
learn, like, I mean, there was stuff I heard playing on the playground in middle school that, like, I'm like, there's nothing somebody on the golf course is going to say to me that's going to hurt my feelings or,
Right.
you know,
Right.
make me get scared that I didn't hear in 6th grade or something.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I
Right.
had long floppy hair. I got kids would just shred me.
Right,
You know,
right,
look at
right,
you.
right.
I'm like,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
What was the best piece of advice another pro golfer gave you?
I mean, I get probably a couple. I mean, I think some of the best advice I got playing in a tournament my second year as a pro down. It was this big qualifier, and I was kind of coming off an injury, so I wasn't really quite ready for it, and I wasn't ready for this tournament mentally. I shouldn't have been playing in it. Wasn't quite good enough to make it out of it. We're playing this tournament. I'm in so we're in the 3rd round. I'm the second group off. And if you're the second group off after the first 2 rounds, that's not good. You don't want to be the last. You know, that's the leaders. Leaders tee off last. You know, worst to first.
Gotcha.
And so I'm in the second group. We're teeing off at dark, which is also not a good idea. You know, if you're teeing off and the sun's coming up, you're also not playing well. And but I was struggling to hit driver, and I didn't. So I'd hit any other club off the tee but driver.
Uh-huh.
So after the round, played with this guy. We're having lunch. He's like, "Can I sit down with you?" I'm like, "Yeah, we just played, you know." And then he's like, "Can I tell you something?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "You gotta stop being such a fucking pussy and hit that driver."
There you go.
I'm
There you
like,
go.
There you go.
There you
Yeah,
go.
He rang the bell.
"Yeah."
Woke
I'm
you
like,
up.
I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "Well, I don't know where it's going, right?"
Right.
And
Right.
He's like, he goes, "You're not gonna learn how to hit driver straight by hitting 4-iron." Then I'm like, "That's a good point." Now,
Mhm.
you know,
That's a
driver's
good
kind of one of
point.
the best clubs in my bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm like, I'd still, you know, it's one of my favorite stories. This guy, you know, just, I've known him for 5 hours. And he's just
Yeah.
like, you got to hit, you know, you can't be afraid to hit this club.
No, it's true.
If you're afraid to hit this club, you got no chance.
It's true.
It's
It's
know?
true.
It's like Tiger Woods and these guys, they're not afraid to hit that club.
No.
You know,
Yeah.
you ask them, you know, not only can they hit that fairway, they'll, you know, pick a leaf on that tree in the distance. They'll hit it
True.
right at, you know, that's how they believe. And I'm like,
True.
at that point, I'm like, I didn't think I could keep it on the property,
True.
let alone hit the fairway.
Which
Yeah.
that kind of leads into like having like a coach or a mentor, right? Because like
Right.
he obviously saw something in you
Mhm.
when you were swinging, where he's like, okay, he's not giving it 100%, or he's
Yeah.
Mhm.
not fully locked in, right?
Yeah.
Do you have like a coach or a mentor that you
Yeah.
go to?
I mean, you got definitely, you know, coaches or even just, you know, kind of people over the years or, you know, like my dad, you know, one of my favorite things he told me as a kid growing up was like, hey, don't brag or anything. He's like, and he told me if you're good, you could tell people, but if you're great, they'll tell you.
Yeah.
You know,
I
so-
like that.
Yeah, that's great.
I like
That's-
that.
You know, it's like I've always tried to, you know, live by that. Like I can, you know, we could sit here for, you know, maybe not too long. I don't got too much.
Yeah.
You know, if I really wanted to talk
Yeah.
about everything I've done, it might
Right.
take 5 minutes. But,
Right,
You know, it's
right,
like I
right.
could sit here and talk about it. But,
Right.
you know, if I'm great, then, you know, that everyone would know about it.
Yep.
So that's what kind of
Right.
keeps me motivated. It's like, okay, if I got to walk in to dinner with my buddies and tell them everything I've just done,
Right.
you know, I'm not good enough yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
If I walk in and they're going, "Hey, heard you did this," it's like, okay, now. So that's the motivation. It's like what I got to, you know, like I said, I got to get back to work and keep going.
Yeah.
I like that,
Yeah.
man. So as we get towards the end, we got a few minutes left. What's the do you have any last piece of advice for young athletes who are trying to go on the road that you took, get to the pro level?
Like I said, I think number one, you got to enjoy it. You got to love the process of trying to get better and know that, it's not always going to be a straight line. It's going to might be 3 steps back, 1 step forward. Then all of a sudden, one day it might be 1 step and 5 steps forward. So it's like you got to, don't get discouraged when, things kind of get bad, and just believe that, if I'm going to work through this, I'm going to keep getting better. If it was easy, everyone would do it, right?
Yeah.
Right,
So
agree with that.
you got to be able to have the discipline to get out there and grind and work your ass off.
No,
That's
that's
what,
true.
if you want to, nobody that is at the highest level of any sport or anything in business, whatever, would tell you, oh yeah, I did the bare minimum to
Right.
get there.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
No, that's true.
They, whatever, guys, you hear like Elon and these guys getting up at like 4 a.m. and doing stuff, and
Yeah.
sleeping 4 hours. I mean, I can't do that.
Yeah, no, I could. No,
I need.
no way.
let me get at least like 6 or 7.
Right.
Right.
But yeah, it's like you gotta love the process and love the grind. That's what one of my coaches had said. He's like, if you don't love the process,
Yep.
That's
everything.
That's more than half the battle.
No, it is. It is, man. It is.
Yeah, well, hit it. We appreciate you, man. This was a great episode.
This was, man.
I learned a lot too, because
Yeah.
I've been around a lot of athletes, but never had the chance to like talk with a pro athlete. Kind of dig into their mind, because it's a totally different
Yeah,
level. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
I appreciate you guys, wanting to have me on, and
For sure, man.
I'm glad it worked out, and
For sure.
anytime you guys need anything, I'll do it.
Appreciate it, Bryce.
Well,
And thank you again, man, for letting us shoot here, man. And I don't know what you had to do to make this happen. But
this is
make a
this
few
is-
phone calls.
Like I said, this is Aurora Country Club. It's where I grew up. It's my
Yeah.
home. It's where I learned to play the game with my
Yeah.
dad.
Yeah.
So this has always been a very special place to me.
Which is
and-
kind of cool, man. A full circle,
Yeah.
full circle moment.
Full
To be able
circle
to do
moment.
this. So
yeah.
yeah,
it's
man.
great.
Thank you again to
Well,
the
hit 'em
guys
with
at the
that outro,
Aurora.
Cuzzo.
All right, sounds good, man. Thank you to the Aurora Country Club for letting us shoot here. Thank you to Bryce Emery, our friend. And by the way, I also cut his hair. You
Yeah.
know, so
I know, so if
it's
there's
just
any
side note,
problems,
Yeah. If his
don't blame
haircut
me.
looks messed up, it's my fault.
Yeah.
But thank you guys, man, for tuning in, for watching, for listening, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode. As always, peace.
Peace.